Welcome everyone. I'm Jonathan, your host in this live chat with Mary Job. Please join me and welcome Mary Job, a support engineer at PMPro, an internet company that specializes in software development. Mary, you are welcome.
Thank you. Hi, viewers. Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Job, as he has said. I work as a support engineer at Paid Memberships Pro. We are a plugin development firm. We build membership plugin that allows you to get paid on your WordPress websites.
Okay. Um, Mary, today we'll be discussing about remote working in post-COVID-19. I know this pandemic that happened on us suddenly have changed the landscape of things, especially in our workplace. So I would like you to explain to our audience what is remote working all about.
Well, remote working is basically a job that does not require you to commit to an office. It's a job that you can work on your tasks from anywhere you are on the planet. As long as you have internet, electricity, and good laptop battery.
Okay. Then how is remote working different from conventional work? What's the difference between the conventional workplace and remote working?
The difference is almost what I just said. When the conventional work requires you to physically be in an office, the remote work does not require you to be in an office to carry out your tasks. That's the basic difference between the two.
Okay. So what's the benefit of working remotely? What's the benefits?
For me, I think I would say the benefits are personalized in the sense that most people you see who prefer to work from home deliberately seek out opportunities where they can work from home. For me, it will be flexible work hours. I could decide to wake up in the morning and maybe spend the morning on my farm and then start work by noon and still end work by 8 p.m. Also, the fact that I don't have to get on the road, get dressed to get on the road, and then get into traffic to get to work likely if you're living in a place like Lagos, for instance. So for me, it's flexible work hours. It saves me time. It saves money too, because the money that you would spend transporting yourself to work, you could use that money to make sure you have stable electricity in your house, which benefits everyone you live with. And if you live alone, well, it benefits only you then.
Okay. Like there's an experience I had some days back. I was about to meet a client to tidy up some tasks that he gave me, and I spent more than 5 hours in the traffic. So that kept me thinking about this remote work. That I think we made an arrangement, and that thing is something that I could have done right from my office or right from home, and rectify the problem for them. So I now see that importance of remote working, but there's some little issues I have with this remote working, because I know most of us are family people, or we stay with our relatives or family, and that distraction of working at home is not that as easy as working in the office place. So can you just enlighten us, because I know this remote working, there's a lot of disadvantage to it. Can you just shed more light to it?
Yes, so you're right about that. It's not as easy as people make it seem like, oh, I'm working from home. This is so simple and straightforward. It requires discipline. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires dedication. In a sense that if you're working remotely, you need to have a space in your house. It could be a corner. It could be your dining table. You need to have a designated space that you call your workspace. And you need to also explain what you do to your family members. If you have kids, you would have a hard time explaining that to them, because they see you all the time and they most likely do not understand, oh, that is working right now, or mommy is working right now. I should not disturb. So it requires also it requires you to also have good communication skills because you're not physically seeing your colleagues. You're not physically seeing your customers. So you have to learn how to use your words to connect with your colleagues, your customers, your clients, and everyone you interact with. So and also the part where another thing it requires is the time. You know, like for instance, when I first started this, okay, let me speak from personal experience. When I first told myself I wanted to work from home, right, I would be recording a video, and it would take me like 50 tries to get that video because I would just hear my mom would just be calling somebody, and you know when that happens, your video is as good as beginning all over again. Or my daughter would walk in and she'll come tap you like because she wants you to respond to her. So you really need to have that space and you need to explain to your family members, this is what you do, this is how you do it. For instance, now everybody at home understands that when I say I'm going on a video call, nobody comes to my workspace. They give me that space. If they come in, they would signal to say, are you done or you're still? And then I'm like, I'm still on my call. So um, there's also the health disadvantages also because you are not working. If you were to be in the office, you would likely be going from one department to the other, depending on your job. When you're working at home, you're seated, like in one position almost all the time. So I would say invest in a good workspace, have a standing table. Your chair is like your best friend. Make sure you get a very good chair and comfortable chair and a very good bed too. Maybe an orthopedic bed so you can get a good night's sleep after the whole day of work.
Okay, but what about like this working from home? If it's someone that have like a kind of a one room, someone that is living in a one room apartment, how can the person adjust? Because there's no space if you are living in a one room apartment.
That's why I said it could be a corner. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fan. It could be just your desk in a corner of the room. And also, if the person is single, then fine. You also have to make sure you're living in a quiet area. I imagine that would be difficult for people who are in Lagos because your the downfall drivers could be loading right next to your house or something. The noise is distracting. If you were to be in a meeting, you'd have to mute yourself all the way. So I think basically just find a quiet spot, find a safe space for you. And you don't necessarily have to even work in your house. We have co-work spaces. You could pay for a co-work monthly at any co-work closest to you. They usually have comfortable spaces. You could look for a coffee shop or a fast food. In our case in Lagos, there are so many fast foods, although they might be hesitant when they see you coming in there all every day to work. But then that's what co-work spaces are for. So if you live in a place where you can't get that quiet environment to work, and invest in a co-work space.
Okay, that brings me to mind. This co-work space, how effective it is.
It is very effective in the sense that they are usually designed to be very serene and comfortable and friendly and warm. At least all the ones I've visited in Lagos. So when I come to Lagos and I have to work, I usually just go to a co-work space and spend my entire day. The last one I visited was a workstation Maryland, and I was there till about 11:30 p.m. It was really comfortable. And there are also other co-work spaces in Lagos that are very comfortable. There's also Work City in Lekki. I love that workspace. It was really comfy. In fact, it made me wish that I was living in Lagos, even though I don't want to live in Lagos. It made me wish, oh, I wish I was living in Lagos. I could come work from here every day. But I don't want to live in Lagos. No.
Lagos is a wonderful place. Lagos is a
Oh,
very, very
yes, it
wonderful.
is. I come to Lagos just for the cinema and then, I don't know, maybe just to have fun. Definitely not for work. There was this particular incident that happened to me in Lagos some years ago. I decided that day, for reasons best known to me, to take the BRT, the lag bus. Then they had launched this new lag bus, and I was like, okay, let me take a BRT. My phone was almost dead. I was at CBS on a normal day, because I used to take BRTs a lot from the island to the mainland. It was always simple and straightforward. But on this particular day, I was unfortunate. My phone went off, which meant I couldn't book an Uber, 2 hours to get there. And this was about 4 p.m. in the evening. And then we spent another 2 hours in traffic. When I got the lag bus, I had to take the standing because there was no seat. Like, when you're on the queue and it gets to you and there's no more
No
seats and you
seat.
have to pick the standing. And then we spent another 2 hours in traffic to get to Orele, and then another 1 hour to get. At the point, I had to get down and just look like, no, I'm just getting off this bus. And they won't open the door for you. They don't get to a bus stop.
Exactly.
So that day I asked myself, I said, how do people who live in this city cope with this? Because I can imagine if you have to spend so many hours just to get to work in the morning, and then you spend so many hours just to get home at night. By the time you're home, I don't even think you'll be productive when you get to work, much less when you are at home.
No, that's a fact. I can't argue that with you, because like in Lagos, you discover that employees or workers, they do spend like close to 5 hours a day on traffic, and when you calculate that time in a week and in a month, you now see, and you see that it's almost close
That's like
to,
100 hours.
yes, almost
100 hours.
similar thing to similar, just the proportion to your even the reproductive hours is very, very high. Okay, now going to this work, remote working, I know that it's very good and it's very okay for tech companies, but which other industry do you think can benefit from it?
For me, I think almost every industry can benefit from remote work. And this is why I say this. Most companies, almost all companies, or rather, all companies should have an accounting department, a training department, HR department, sales marketing, because every company wants to sell, right? Um, yeah. So if you have a company like that, not all of those staff need to physically be in the office to do their job, if I'm correct. So a company doesn't even have to go full-time remote with all their staff if they don't want to. They could test out the model, part-time, and say, okay, workers from this department, you can work from home.
Yeah.
I think for me, the one thing that everybody is missing is communication. If you don't have good internal communication when you're working physically, you can't survive if you switch to remote working. It's very important. And I think now that this pandemic and everything is showed up, even if you run a physical office, make sure your internal documentation and communication is very strong. So I would say companies are in research, education, account management, product management, healthcare, yes, customer service. You could save a lot of space if you have those people work from home and not necessarily come to the office every day. Of course, IT is default. IT would benefit a lot from remote working, or would you know be a very good example. But other industries can also key into this remote work. It's not just the IT firms or the IT companies that could enjoy working remotely.
Okay. There's another thing that I would like to ask. What's the difference between remote working and social distancing? Like for example, like I know very soon they will lift this ban on this thing on the lockdown in Lagos here. I believe in
Okay.
some days to come. So, but I know there will still be some condition. Like if it's a space that can take 50 people or 50 employees, they may restrict it to like 20 or 10. So how can, like if it's a
Mm-hmm.
business that is into sales, maybe most of their dealings is sales or physical something, how can they integrate this remote working into their business process?
Like I said earlier, it all boils down to communication. Communication between colleagues, between internal communication between colleagues and management. If they can get that right, then they could actually make some of these workers in this department work from home. That will reduce the number of people that come to the office, as opposed to having physical meetings. Because I know in some companies they have physical meetings where each team meets a particular hour every month or every week. As opposed to doing that, you could actually have virtual meetings. You could even have virtual meetings with people in the office, depending on the kind of office system you operate. If you operate an open system, open office kind of space in the company, then maybe they would need to move their chairs apart or something. But if it's a company where everybody has their own office behind a particular door. So instead of coming together into the meeting room, you could have your meeting virtually. At least you would still share the company internet. You could have that meeting virtually. Everybody connects from their houses. I think that would work. But like I said, it all boils down to communication. If you don't have good rapport, if you don't have a virtual channel that you use to communicate to between your staff right now, it'll be a problem, because when you work remotely, you have to be able to give updates very often. You have to be able to check in to say, this is what I'm working on today, or this is what I'm about to work on. So you need a virtual channel. You need a virtual, any electronic virtual channel. There's Discord, there's Slack, there's so many others out there. There's Telegram. Some companies use Telegram that you could use to connect with your staff. So it boils down to getting communication right. If you can get internal communication right, then you can make working remotely work. And then the social distancing or physical distancing really has nothing to do with remote working, because imagine if you were to be working in your house, you still be communicating with your family or touching your family and so on and so forth. So they are like two separate things. But then, like you said, companies after this pandemic can look to, reducing the number of staff that come to the office on a daily to do reduce it to the ones that essentially need to be there. That would help them. That would save time. That would save space. That would save money. That would save a lot of bills. I suppose. And then there's this notion that I don't know that some companies are having that. Okay, so now that you're working from home, I shouldn't pay you more. That's very wrong, because that person, if you're living in Nigeria, is going to have to make sure that they have electricity in to be able to do their work. Make sure that they have internet. So if for anything, I would say the money that you spend on the office building, you could divert some of it, maybe get a smaller office and divert some of it uh, onto the salaries of your staff. Okay. Hmm. Yes, absolutely. And I would still insist on what I said earlier: internal documentation, communication, how we do things in our company. If there is a process in a company, if there is a documented process, each staff knows what is expected of them. Are you understanding me? Each person knows these are my tasks, these are the things that I'm supposed to do, these are my goals for today, right? So when you have that documented, it's difficult for people to derail. When you have when you have standard procedures, this is how we respond to customers. This is how we. When all of those things are documented, it's difficult for the staff to not be effective. except if the staff is not disciplined. Because for you to really make this work, your workers have to be disciplined. But I think this goes both ways because in Nigeria, I would use our Nigerian landscape as an example. Here, most employers or some employers tend to think that if they give their employee that's free reign, that you know what, work from home, that they would not be committed. So it goes both ways. You trust your worker to deliver, and then the worker also should trust, should make you trust them that they can deliver, right? So it's not just about the employee saying that the employee being dedicated. It's both ways. The employer has to trust that the employee can deliver. So it can be effective if done properly. It's not a child's play. It's not something it's easy. Let all of us just start working from home. It doesn't work like that. If you want your workers to be effective, make sure that you have documented the processes for them to be effective. It's like saying, I'm employing you now to be my social media manager. I don't tell you what we post about. I don't tell you how we post. I don't tell you what time we, like, there's no documentation to say a tweet must go out every 2 p.m. And you expect the employee to be effective. The employee, because there is no procedure, there's no process for them to follow. So it's both ways. I know for smaller companies like my side also that I work on. For smaller companies, it might be difficult, but from the beginning, from the day you start having, even if it's just you as the staff in your company and you have freelancers, start documenting how you do things in your company. That will save you a lot of trouble when you go.
So what you mean is that for large organizations or large companies, so it's almost impossible to implement remote working if they
I
don't
didn't
have.
say it's impossible. It is very possible to implement it, but it's not something you do in a day. It's a process. It takes time. You know, it takes time to build. It takes time to get your employees used to that behavior. That you know what, you're working from home. You have to show up at work, and you have to be diligent, and you have to make sure that your tasks are completed when they should, and you have to send your report when you're supposed to send your report. So big companies can integrate it. They can make it work for them. But it starts from somewhere. It starts from for big companies, I would expect that they have good documentation. If they don't have, then they better start getting that right. And like I said, see, whether your employees are coming into the office or they are working from home, you have to. I lost that train of thought. I was going to say something. I lost that train of thought. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now, from what we have seen during this pandemic period, do you think that remote working will come to stay in Nigeria? Because this thing is just like a new world. It's just like a new world, although it has been for a while, but it's just like a new trend in Nigeria. And I know some companies that have started implementing it. Do you think that maybe after this pandemic, everybody will go back to the normal way of doing working?
Well, yeah. So I think that most likely, I can't say for certain, but I think most likely, companies will go back to the old way of working. Most likely, they would likely go back to the old way of working, because we are just beginning to, learn this new culture of having your staff work from home. Mind you, some companies already do it effectively. They do, we just don't know it. Some companies do this, but I think they would go. But one thing I think, even if they go back to working the way they used to work, one thing to consider is that this could happen at any time. Something worse could happen at a later date. Anything can happen at any time. So, bottom line, what I would advise is, even if they go back to that old way of working, make sure you have an established, I don't know why I keep saying, make sure you have an established virtual communication channel between you and your employees. Documentation, internal process, all those things, if you can key them, then if something happens in the future, then it will be easier to transition to, what, don't come to anything could happen in Lagos, for instance. I don't know, maybe like the traffic, why don't you work from your house this week? We already know, everybody knows what they're supposed to do. But I think most companies will go back to the old way of working, which is not a bad idea. But they should just make sure that they have that, communication channel mailed. If they do that, then I don't think they would have problems. And they should also consider maybe starting it with a small department. It could be an experiment run for them. Can you imagine how much companies in Lagos would save if they don't have to rent offices? You know how much they rent offices in Lagos? I mean, you want to rent a shop, just the one shop in Yaba, you could be paying as high as 500K for that, if I'm correct. Yes? So imagine how much they would save if they could, start experimenting with, what, IT department work from the house. Um, what do they call it? Account department, do your work from the house today, or do your work from the house this week. Let's see how it goes. That's what I think. I can't say for sure. It's too early to tell. Let me put it that way. It's too early to tell whether it will come to stay or not. I mean, look at schools. Schools have been able to take their classes online, isn't it? Because it was important for the children to keep learning. Yes. So if schools can do it, then why not companies? I'm not saying companies should, like just make all their staff start working. Start with a department. Start with one department, two departments, see how it goes. It's something to build over time and then see how much you save. Do you save? Are your workers effective? Are they efficient? Are you saving time? Are you saving money? There's so many factors to consider here.
Then finally, I would like you are a support engineer with PMPro, and
Yes.
you deal with software development. So I would like you
Yes,
to
for a
explain,
plugin.
because I know you implement this remote working in your organization. So I would like
Oh yes.
mhm. So I would like you to tell our audience more about how you work, your working schedule, and the way you work in your company.
Okay, so my company, as I said, paid memberships pro, we are a plugin development firm. We have a membership software that we build and maintain for our customers that allows anybody with a WordPress website to sell membership on their website, right? And my team consists of 11. So we're split between the US, where our bosses are, South Africa, where I have one, two, three, four colleagues. Yes, and I'm the only one in Nigeria actually, and I think I'm actually my the time zone favors me a lot in the sense that if I wake up by 5 a.m. and I decide to start working, South Africa is ahead of us by an hour, sometimes 2 hours. It means that some of my colleagues are already online working, so there's somebody to talk to. If I decide that I don't want to work in the morning, I want to start my work in the afternoon and in the evening. I'm also equally lucky because it means that the people in the US will be off and they will be working. So even if I'm working till 10, maybe I start my work by 4 p.m. and I'm working till 10 p.m., I still have colleagues online to talk to. And that has been fun because I'm working with a team that are awesome. They're just marvelous, wonderful people. They embolden what that open source spirit. You find it in my team. So I'm happy to be with PMPro. So if you have anybody that needs to sell membership on their WordPress website, do send them to us. We'll be happy to put them through. So that's what we do so that's what I do in support basically. We have a robust documentation at PMPro. There's, I would say, 80% of what you want to achieve on your membership site, we have talked about it, we have documented it, we have videos for it where needed. We have add-ons, we have close to 90 add-ons. So you have options. The options are almost unlimited. There's literally nothing you want to do with your membership website that we don't have covered. If we don't have it covered, we're talking about it. We're looking to get it covered.
Okay. Then again, there's something I want to ask, like the plugin you are doing the membership pro on WordPress sites. Like there's something we discussed some time ago. We talked about like somebody like a coach, a fitness coach, or someone that have an audio, I mean video, a training or like a training course online. You know, in most cases, if you want to organize a training, you need to get a physical venue and doing all those logistics. But like now, this remote working also applies to your plugin. Like someone can apply this your plugin on his website and still be at home training other people all over the world. Can you just? I would like you to shed more light
Yes,
here.
yes. If you check our showcase, you would see we have all sort of businesses using PMPro efficiently. You have people who have gyms, online gyms. Like there was a gym that recently went from physical to a virtual gym when this pandemic started, and they were so happy with PMPro because they were able to transition from a physical gym to a virtual gym in limited time. You have associations, you have people who make video courses, like you say. You with PM Pro you can restrict content. So basically, you can either sell your content or make it free. Now, if you decide to make your content free, you can still set it up in such a way that members have to sign up with their email address to get an account on your site and then view your free content. If you decide to also sell the content, you can equally do that. And from Nigeria here, we have a Paystack membership integration. So if you have a WordPress website, you can install PMPro on your site to sell membership. You can install Paystack to receive payments on your site in Naira and get your money in your bank account. It's a straightforward process. And one good thing about PMPro that I love a lot is the fact that it's open source. It's 100% GPL.
Okay.
It means that you can customize it further. You can decide that, okay, this is how I want my membership. The options are unlimited for you. You can customize your site exactly however you want. WordPress is GPL, we already know that, right? PMPro is GPL, which means that your options are like so wide. If you check our showcase, you see all other sites that are using. It's not just video membership sites. There are so many other businesses that could use a membership software. For instance, if you have like this co-work spaces now, I see most of them. I don't think the ones that I've been to, I don't think they have that membership software on their site. If they had a membership software, for instance, I pay for a virtual office in Lagos, and I've told them so many times, like, instead of having to send me an invoice of 5,000 every month to pay for the virtual address, if I was a member on your website, you could automatically just take this payment, from me every month. If I don't have money on my card, I'll definitely get an alert that somebody is trying to charge me, and I know that I still want to continue using your service. I would definitely renew. So there are so many other businesses, not just e-learning, e-learning businesses. So many other businesses that can benefit from selling restricted content on their site.
Okay, Mary, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And this remote working, we know is going to stay in Nigeria here. Already, many other countries or other parts of the world they have been doing it, but it's just that this pandemic have to shake everybody. But I still have my observation on that because some employers, when you talk about this remote working, you just like, so you be at home, I'll be paying you salary.
That's why I said it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way. It's not a one-way affair. It's a two-way street. The employer has to trust that the employee will deliver, and the employee has to not give the employer reasons to think that they are not working when they are working. Matter of fact, when you work from home, do you know you work longer than if you were to be in an office?
You are right. You are correct. Because I know most times.
Yeah, you work longer because You get lost in work. Like if your work is so interesting. For me, my work is so interesting. I mostly get lost in work all the time. I literally have to tell myself, no, you know what? I think you've done enough for today. Let the rest continue because my work is interesting. So I'm like, no, this thing is I have to figure out how this thing works. And then before you know it, you're spending. But if you were to be an office, once it's 5 p.m. or 4 p.m., I carry my bag, I go home. I may not have the chance to get back to work, but this one, I'm in the house. My computer is right there by the corner. It's looking at me and telling me, you know what, why don't you just check what is happening at work?
Okay, Mary. So before I let you go, I would like you to just give some tips, like for people trying to set up this remote working space or whichever, any major good tips you can share with us, because I know you are into it already.
Yes, I deliberately wanted to work from home from 2016. And I remember my mom asking me, oh, so you just wake up and then you dress up and you sit in front of the computer. I'm like, I'm working. But now they understand it perfectly. So they don't doubt it when I say that I'm working. And for employers, I would say know your documentation. It would seem like I'm emphasizing on it, but this is because it's very important. Nail your documentation, nail how you communicate with your staff, and also understand that when your employees are working from home, they tend to work longer hours. So you have to also be humane. You have to you have to also watch out for their mental health because you want them to be efficient, right? For
Yeah.
employees, I would say get a good chair, get a good table. If you can get a standing table, also even better. So you can stand up at intervals to work. Make sure you have good internet connection because it's very important.
Mm,
And make sure you have a backup. In our case in Nigeria, almost everybody has a backup generator.
generator, yeah.
I don't even consider it backup. I consider it the main
The
source of
main source, then
electricity. Everybody has a
PhD
backup
is
gen.
alternate.
Yeah, it's the main source because it's not it's the main source of electricity. So ensure like I have a generator at the back of my place now. I don't like using it because of the noise. It freaks me out. That noise, you know, I don't like it at all. But then it's important because I have to be online when I need to be online. So maybe invest in a good computer. Like my PC currently gives me 8 hours of battery when there's no electricity. So that's enough for me to get through my day. Yeah, so invest in a good chair, just pick a corner, any corner of your house. Like this is my living room right now. I'm working from my living room. I sleep in my bedroom, even though sometimes I work from my bedroom. But I have this corner that when I sit here, I know that okay, yes, I want to do some work. That's why I'm sitting here.
Okay. Then, before you go, please, I have someone that asks. He said, does your plugin? I think the person is talking about your plugin. He said, does it work with a personal blog site?
Yes, you can use it on a personal blog. You can use it on a business blog. You can use it on personal blog, business blog, personal website, business website. It works.
Okay. Okay.
And they can start with the free version if they need.
Okay. So what's the
So,
difference?
so yeah, yeah. So I feel like I should explain the difference between the free and paid version because we actually get that a lot where people say, "Oh, I want to pay for your plugin. Does it do the same thing? What other options will I get?" So the free and the paid version are actually the same software. Like there is no difference. When you pay for membership with us, what you get is technical support, like direct support. We're able to answer your questions or help you to resolve an issue on your site. And then you also get access to our other 65 plus add-ons. So we have add-ons. For instance, we have add-ons for Stripe, MailChimp. Like when people register on your site, you want them to be added to your MailChimp list. We have that. We have a Zapier add-on. We have so many add-ons actually. So we have sponsored members add-on. For instance, if you're a company and you want to buy membership for your staff, you can use the sponsored members add-on to do that. And what I like most about our software is the latest release has a front-end profile and login functionality. What it means is that WordPress by default takes you to the back end when you're trying to log into a site. So if
Yes.
you have PMPro on your site, members can log in from the front end. They won't see the dashboard. They can
Okay.
also have a front end profile. You have a members directory add-on. And then you're also paying for unlimited code resites. So sometimes you write custom code to solve a problem for a customer. That custom code would also be useful for another customer. So we document that, we write about it and say, if you want to add this option to your site, this is the custom code for you. So as opposed to going to pay for a developer to get that for you, if you're a Plus member, chances are you have access to tons and tons of custom code websites that you can implement on your site to get what you want. So registering for a free membership account doesn't mean you don't have, like, you're able to create unlimited levels. You're able to have unlimited members. You're able to restrict as many content as you want. When you pay for support, when you upgrade to the plus, you're simply paying for support, like personal guidance. Hey, I'm trying to do this on my side. I don't really know where to go to. Then we guide you and tell you, okay, this is how you fix this, or this is how you solve this. And then you're paying for all the other add-ons that we have.
Okay, Mary, thank you very much for sharing your time with us. And
Thank you, Jonathan.
I've learned a lot about this working remotely, because I do work with some business owners, and when you talk about this remote working, they say it's a no-go area. How can I be paying someone that will stay at home and other stuff? And I also have some employees that see it almost impossible. But you explain now that someone can, even though if you're in a one-room apartment, you can just create a space within that place and then set up your this thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's all about dedication. It's all about dedication.
Because I know.
Thank you, Jonathan. I had fun talking to you this morning.
I know. Sorry, I know that for that remote working to be effective, you need to be a disciplined person. I hope I'm right.
Very disciplined. Yes, you're absolutely right. If you're not disciplined, then you get fired. Yeah, because you feel like you have so much time on your hands to do whatever you want, but remember that you also have to show up at work and do your work, do your tasks, or do the tasks that are assigned to you by your employer. So if you're not disciplined, you can't get it to work. If you don't know how to communicate, you had better start communicating, learning how to communicate. And you have to learn to use smileys a little. Not every time you just write a straight text. You put a smiley there, an emoji or something to reflect how you feel when you're talking. Because you can't see the other person's facial reaction. But words have tones, right? We Yoruba people, I think, you know what they say. There's a Yoruba adage that about words. I don't remember. About words. Words are powerful. You can read meaning into words when they are said to you. So you have to learn the best way to use your words in such a way that the other person doesn't think, oh, is this person putting me down, or is this person lifting me up?
Understanding.
So it requires dedication, learning the art of communication, and discipline. Yes, so I agree with you, 100%.
Okay.
More discipline, more than you would experience if you were to go to a physical office.
Okay, Mary, thank you very much for
Yeah, because nobody is telling you nobody is telling you when you're working from, nobody is telling you, oh, it's time for work, but when you're in the office, like, you are automatically working.
Exactly.
Even though sometimes most people are not working, they're probably on the internet doing stuff. But you get the point. When you're at home, you have to work yourself. Yeah, they're Facebooking, when you're at home, nobody is going to tell you, you're not going to work today, because they assume that you're not even working, right?
It's true.
Yeah, so you have to tell yourself, it's time for work. I have to get to work.
Wow.
So thank you again, Jonathan. This was fun. We should do this again sometime soon. Maybe on another topic.
Yeah, we'll do it definitely. I'm going to call you back. We still have a lot I know you have a lot to share with us on this channel. Okay.
I'll be more than happy to.
Okay. Thank you everyone for for staying with us and listening to Mary Job and what she has for us. And things has changed. Everything has changed. because of this pandemic. And to me, my belief is that this pandemic that happened is just like a test run of something that a bigger one that will happen in maybe not nearer future, maybe not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20 years, but we need to.
Don't let another one happen.
No,
I want to go to the beach, please. Don't let anything happen again.
So, no,
But I get your point.
yeah, so we need to prepare. It's just like when there's a shaking in a building, and you compare it to an earthquake. So this one is just they just shake the building. The main one is coming, and that
Please,
one may probably
please,
earthquake.
don't try to insinuate that
No.
something bigger is. Don't pray for it.
No, we'll pray. God will see us through. So thank you,
Amen.
audience and everyone that has stayed this far to watch this video. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please just hit the subscribe button
Subscribe.
and turn on the notification so that when next time I will call Mary Jo, you will be notified. So Mary, thanks, and thank you everyone as I sign out. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.